If you're into the Ninja Turtles, comic books, or role-playing games, you'll want to stick around for this. Last time I brought you one book, this time I bring you three. Stay tuned! What's up, and welcome to my side of the laundry room. My name's Rob, and last time we took a time machine back to 1985 and discussed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness, the TMNT role-playing game put out by Palladium Books. Now, we're going to jump ahead a couple months to 1986 when the very first supplement book came out. Now, 1986 was a big year for the game as 3 supplement books were released here and there over the calendar year. Now, the first book, After the Bomb, as you see here, doesn't have anything to do with the Turtles at all. This was a campaign setting that was only slightly talked about in the basic rulebook. And to be honest, this was something that Palladium created so they wouldn't have to keep paying licensing fees down the road, to create their own world, if you will. Now, After the Bomb takes place on Earth in the future. We've had a nuclear war, and out of the remains of Earth, mutant animals have risen up. Mutated by the radiation, they just want to live a normal life. But in the shadows, the remainder of the human population has advanced. As you can see from the cover, we have robots and dudes in armor with laser weaponry. Now, not to discuss this anymore because we'll get into the heart of the matter with this book. Let's crack it open. Now, the first thing you see here is a map of the east coast of North America. Well, of America, we should say, the United States. And you can see how it's now divided into different territories, different cities, all with, well, most, with an animal name. Like we go here, we have Bird Island, Boorstown, the Wolf Barbarian Territory, the Plains of Free Cattle, and then we have Contested Lands, New Kennel, which we'll get into, and it's pretty neat, and then the Empire of Humanity's Last Outpost. Now, what's different about this than a lot of role-playing games that were released in the 80s? You were actually the outcast trying to survive, when all of those books were more of you play the majority races, elves, humans, dwarves, things like that, taking down the different, the unique, the oddities of the world, orcs and goblins and such. So this is a total flip-flop, which gave you the option to play the oddities, the other strangeness, if you will. Now, this book is a second printing that I believe was still released in 1986, but a little bit later within the year. Another thing I like to point out is most of the illustrations and the cover were done by Peter Laird, who was the partner of Kevin Eastman for the creators of the Turtles. So this was kind of unique for me at the time because I'd never seen one name over the other. They always worked as a duo. But you can see this dude, his name's Ursub, and he's a alligator mutant, but he comes in a little bit later. As we start the book, we jump right into the Empire of Humanity, which, for the long and the short, would be like the Empire in Star Wars. That they want to take over everything and reclaim the Earth that was once theirs. Now, let's see if I can find this quick enough to not bore you. But The total human population right now is 28,500 people. Now, the mutants have a much larger population. So, just to go to show you, that far into the future, we're pretty screwed. We discuss in the book some of the human NPCs, some of their hardware, which this reminds me a lot of the Conquest from G.I. Joe. And then we get into New Kennel. Now, when the animals took over, some of the domesticated animals didn't know what to do. It was bred into them being domestic. So dogs, when humans finally started emerging again from their bomb shelters and stuff, follow the humans. They still want to be in servitude to them, be man's best friend. So, to help remove them from the human population, they were given their own city. Because even though they are pure of heart and want to be loved by humans, the humans still hate them, are still disgusted by them. Now, Cardana, which is one of the largest mutant cities. You have the Plains of Free Cattle, which is a tribe structure, very much like Native Americans. The Rodent Cartel of Philly, which is now Philadelphia. New Yak, of course, New York. Bird Island, which is a large sanctuary where I believe Rhode Island used to be. The Contested Lands, which are it's a large area, upstate Pennsylvania, New York area, Ohio area, that is, as it says, contested between all factions trying to fight over it. Now we get into our adventure scenarios. The first one is the gun bunnies and zombies. Now, yes, there are zombies and monsters afoot in this new world. Now we got this cool rat dude with a sai, grenades, knives, very cool. And we go over the different areas and the different scenarios, and now we have the gun bunnies, which is what the name suggests. Sorry about that there you go. Sorry about that. And they all have names like, let's go back here. We got Bug Bunny, which of course is a homage to Bugs Bunny. Bomb Bunny, Bullet Bunny, and Beach Bunny, who is the female here. Now, we have a lot of NPC characters, like we have a river otter named Ozzy. Now, another scenario that they give you is the journey to Boorstown, which you run into the wolf barbarians, and also the Empire of Humanity. Now, this actually has a human character who is very, very, very old that has survived in the Fallout and has mutated a sense to be somewhat immortal. He's actually a friendly character to the NPCs, and as you can see, kind of a la Twilight Zone, he's surrounded by books and retains as much history of the old world as he can. We have this dude who is a horse, but he's painted up in tribal colors, and his name is One Year. Now we have Christopher the Mutant Lynx, that was back here. This guy with the huge machine gun. And we talk about the Bear Cult members, which are the people that are also in this picture with him, sporting all this hardware. excuse me, another adventure is Clem's Big Adventure. As you can see, this gives you the first impression of insects being the new mounts of the world. A horse can't ride a horse. We're not talking about a Disney flick here. So insects that have been mutated are now the workhorses, the mode of transportation, food source. And there are some mutated ones with an intellect. This one's sporting a laser rifle. So you fight some warrior ants and stuff in here, human troops. And Clem, the mutated hound dog. Here's another, gosh darn it. Excuse me, technical difficulties. Now, here's another story, which is Aerial Supremacy, which is about the jet that we saw earlier. Got a crashed Empire Shadow Fade ship. And it's a area with thousands of crashed ships in it after a war. Now the NPCs here, we have a mutant crow, we have Usopp, which is the mutant alligator. We got this cool dude, Cosgrove, who is a mutated horned toad. Tap, a mutant tiger. Now, the power of Ali Kamandi, which is kind of a take on Kamandi, the last boy, in name alone. As you can see, it's a big fat cat, and he's a warlord, drug kingpin, mafioso, if I'm remembering correctly. Let me look so I'm not completely wrong here. Yeah, he's a bad dude. Now, the rodent plague is the next one. And here we see the Empire of Humanity. They got cutouts here of animals in different shapes, mutant animals, that they're taking target practice with their laser weaponry. They got this huge armored tank with laser weaponry on it. And a robot. Now, sorry, I'm just kind of speeding through this because we're going to try to get to some of the other books that were also released in 1986. Now, here is a dog general from New Kennel, and you can see that he's dressed in Empire garb, a Doberman Pinscher. Here's a tech guy for the Empire of Humanity. Now, here's a smuggler type of character. That's a mole. And in this, we also get encounter tables. You know, just random encounters if you're traveling the wilderness. And with this, you also get, again, another animal type percentage roll. Here we go. Here's a big picture of the city of Philly. As you can see, it's like an open air market. There is a huge tower built here. But people are just going about their daily life. Here's the back of the book, which is a wraparound cover by Peter Laird, like I said. And I think that sums up this book very well. Now on to the next one. Now the next supplement that was released a couple months later was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures. And this is all just little adventures that you could run for your group or take inspiration from. Now, this cover was actually done by Kevin Eastman. Now, like I said, this also was released in 1986. And you got this cool picture of the turtles fighting a shark here. But the interior art, again, is divided between the duo, Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman. Now, this is the third printing, which came out in 1990. So, it took me a while to get these books, to collect them all. Here is a picture from the original series. Now, like we discussed in the last book when we talked about the basic TMNT and other strangeness, the Doomsday Bears. Now, this is a story with them, and your players are tasked with going after them and stopping them from releasing a nuclear warhead. Now, wouldn't it be kind of cool if they were the ones that started the nuclear bomb that led to After the Bomb? That would be a neat little scenario. But we go over their stats again. Now, Mr. Bionic. Now, this is kind of like would have fit right into the Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic. You deal with a guy that has different bionics and a suit, and he's running amok, so you need to stop him. Here's one, the Reverend Judge. Now this is about a heavy metal band that just happens to be mutant animals, except they have full human features. So these are animals. I don't remember what kind. Let me see what it says here. Excuse me. Sorry, can't find it soon enough, so let's move on. Oh, here we go. He's a bear cub, created by Doc Farrell, which was also introduced in the Other Strangeness basic book. Now, he's on the run, so the adventure is to help him out, to get him away from the cops and Dr. Farrell, which is chasing him down. Here's another story with Doc Farrell where he created these huge mutant rats. And, you know, they run amok eventually and you need to stop them. Now, unlike the other After the Bomb book, this is very much Turtles as we get into Turtle scenarios. Oh, and also a cool thing, animal superpowers are introduced. So you have everything from control elemental forces like water and fire to super strength or flight when you don't have wings, stretching, teleportation, what have you. So that's a very cool feature that's added. Taken from the Heroes Unlimited book by Palladium. Now, kind of like the Other Strangeness book, we have a short comic included, starring the Turtles. It's a great little story where they are saving a boy that's being initiated into a gang. Now, here we go. A full Turtles story. The White Ronin. Now, the Turtles are put into a death match a la Enter the Dragon, and they need to go through different trials after defeating the other fighters. Different death, really cool thoughts that people have to, you know, they have to deduce how to get out of the traps, and it gives you different scenarios to how. But not all your options are the same. Some of them you can't use brute force, or you need to use brute force. So it's a very fun read for that. Here we go, different assassins and ninjas that appear in the White Ronin story. But here we are at the end. As you can see, the Turtles save the day and destroy the villain's lair. On to the next book. Oh, sorry. Here's the back of it. Got a cool ninja. Got Michelangelo who got cut off of the front. Okay, on to the next book. Road Hogs. This is another After the Bomb supplement. Now, what's different about this one is it takes place on the west coast of the United States and into Canada. Really neat stuff right off the bat here. We got the Prairie Dog Imperium. Barstow remained. Excuse me. Free cattle land. So that just gives you an impression to how much land they have. The entire central United States. Let's go on. This is third printing, released in 1989. But this, I don't think, is my original book. I had to rebuy this because my original one got kind of beat up. But what's great about this book is they introduce new animals for you to play. So we have brand new percentile-based lists of animals that you can randomly roll or pick yourself. New mutation backgrounds. Here we go. Here's a buzzard character. And we have other things, like a lot of new birds. Birds of prey, condors. Hey, we got a roadrunner. Now we get into very interesting things. Dolphins. Lizards. This octopus dude. How awesome is that? Here's an antelope guy. A little pack rat. Or, I'm sorry, it's a kangaroo rat. Here's a sea lion dude. Whales, seals, sea turtles. But another big addition to the role-playing game is vehicle rules. So this goes totally for Mad Max-esque adventures. Add armor, weapons. Here's a cool mountain lion guy. Different skills based on vehicles and combat. Look at these. Don't they look like the Thrasher machine or whatever it's called from G.I. Joe? Or no, Thrasher was the driver. Excuse me. But here's a collection of rogues gallery, if you will. Oh, and it's a little late to point out, but there is no art from Eastman and Laird in this book. I think they... Well, there are a couple more coming up down the road, but this seemed like a very big departure from the other two books that you get to know. Here's a mutant cheetah gang leader. Mutant condor. A horse. Mountain lion. Humans. State troopers. Look at that raccoon dude. Look at this giant Gila monster. That's a normal looking dog, which is probably a mutant dog, but has no features at all. So he could probably still talk and think and things like that. Now we get into some of the adventures and talks about some of the areas. Like here's Mexico, and we have a donkey guy and some guinea pigs. Here we have a mutant coyote, mutant roadrunner. Look at that dude with a sniper rifle. Here's another adventure, Road Hogs Gang War. But we get into another short comic. Now this one, I have to say, and I apologize to whomever did it, I don't like this art at all. It is so rudimentary and muddy looking. But we deal with 3 turtles here that come in contact with some road hogs. And look at this cool little shout out. There's the cover of TMNT and Other Strangeness on their wall poster. But they have a sensei turtle, and let's see here. They use different weapons, katanas, nunchucks, bow staff. But you find out at the end of this story that the sensei is Raphael. There he is using his size and takes out this dude. And I guess being so old and ravaged by the war or the bombs, he has imprinted them with his brother's names. So he says, "Clean up this mess for me, okay, Mike?" Like he's talking to Mikey. But anyway, here is a slapdash walkthrough of the 3 supplement books that all came out in 1986. Next time we'll talk about some of the other ones that came out, but they were spread out over a couple years. So until next time, my name's Rob. Keep being rad and stay dorky.